Knows if this will work. Trying to figure all this stuff out. And so I'm just trying this the first time with Google Hangouts, trying to invite people. I don't know if you guys can add yourselves. I'm not sure how this works. But so I invited a bunch of you. And we'll be doing these. I want to start doing these every Thursday at this time. Good time for me in the mornings here in Arizona. And what I really want to do, and please, any of you let me know if you're, see if I can add you in here and see you. How do I do that? Here's the Q&As. Let's look at that. There's Q&As on the side. Cool. So if you want to ask a question, you can do that. Got it. Looking at this, learning these features. And let's see what else here. I hear somebody. Maybe it's myself. So anyway, we're just going to learn it this time. I saw Christy there for a second. That's pretty cool. Can you hear me?
Hey.
Cool. So I'm not sure how this works. Like, do we go... Yeah, I'm going to have to learn it. This will be a learning curve this time. But that's all right. You're flipping back and forth, which is strange. What if you mute yourself, Christy? Let's see what happens. Because I think it automatically flips back and forth. Yeah, that's what it does. Like whoever's talking, it'll majorly go on that. That says we have some viewers. And I'm wondering if I can see who's actually participating. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, what I want to do is do it live and be able to ask questions. So there's a question app on this side probably of everybody's screen. And then I'll get better at this, and we'll be able to add people, and we can sort of have a live interaction with things as well. And I want to create a forum that'll be free for people, as well as the webinars on the weekends. Now, on the weekend webinars, I'm going to do them a little bit more in depth. This is sort of public, you know, and I have to be on better behavior, right? There are certain levels of sharing things that are appropriate. I see Joel. Hey, Joel.
Hi.
How you doing?
Great.
Thanks for participating in this news. So I see you too, and we've got some 10 people listening and viewing as well. So the one thing I think it'll happen is when you're live in here as well, sometimes when the sound on your end, so I'll ask you to mute yourself, Joel, I appreciate it, unless you want to ask questions, because otherwise the sound picks up and it'll flip to your picture.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, like that.
I
Like
can also put in some headphones.
some what? Headphones?
Some headphones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you mute yourself, it doesn't, unless you want to ask a question, unmute yourself and then ask a question. And I'm going to learn how to do this. But anyway, so what I want to create is just a place, you know, across the planet that's free for us to people to hang out. And I want to, and I'll end up start talking about certain topics and so forth as these develop. I want to do them on Thursdays every 10 a.m. here, whatever time that is around the planet. It'll record. It'll get posted to YouTube as well. I was just starting to go into, there's certain things that are public, you know, that are publicly shareable, just like any teaching. Many of us have been angry at secret societies. Today, at this time on the planet, all that stuff's going to start surfacing. So we're going to have a reaction, like David Icke is, you know, pushing the spearhead of the bleeping reptilian, you know, whatever, right? And all that, and that needs to happen. It's really important that we get angry and outraged at the stuff that's been hidden for us. But that's not the place to end up, you know. At first we're going to be angry at it, and it's important. So there's a public teaching, and then there's also times every master teacher, and for us too as kids or anybody growing up, there's a time when we're ready to hear certain things. If right now, for instance, if we peeled the veil away and basically en masse in our culture went for, well, there's 23 ET bases on the other side of the moon, and you've all been lied to, and the whole game of politics is just to distract you, and Trump and Hillary is just a game. Although Trump and Bernie Sanders, in my opinion, are sort of showing that the people are wanting to wake up a little bit. But part of this broadcasting will be, well, whatever people want to talk about it, we're going to be really honest about it, but I'm also going to be cognizant of what Spirit wants to do. In other words, there's a way to introduce certain things. So it's not, sometimes I might cut certain things off. And I'm only doing that not because it's not true, but because if you go into a group of kindergarten, you know, you don't want to start bringing certain subjects up to them that'll just scare them, you know, or your puppy, you love your puppy, you don't want to have them instantly have to deal with certain things that are kind of heavy for them. So the people on planet Earth, most of us are still pretty much managed consciousness. So I want us to feel some compassion for that not everyone is at our places. I was just Ryan, if you watch this living, you know, later you were talking about that rape case that's in the, I don't have TV right now, so I just, you know, get it sort of secondhand. But there's a rape case in America that is a big topic now because this man, he's a swimmer in Stanford, he's white, which probably plays into it. You know, he's a child of privilege, so why is he going to get away with getting a light slap on the wrist for a rape? And so there needs to be outrage about this, you know. But the outrage, in a sense, is in us. I love that word, outrage. So when you're outraged by current events, or the fact that you've been lied to, the fact that there's a whole managed Truman Show on the earth right now, which it is, you know, the whole UFO ET thing, real spirituality, real sexuality, real love, real family, real food, real music, real governance or non-governance, all of it has really been upside down, and we've been in a maintained bubble. You know, it is the Truman Show still for the vast majority of humans. And so to allow that, when ETs would come to Earth, like the Ra people in Egypt or other civilizations that came here before us, you know, that came to the humans, they became instantly worshipped as gods. The Mahabharata, Maha just means big, like Mahatma with Mahatma Gandhi. Atma means soul. Mahatma just means big soul. The Mahabharata is just a big story of Bharat. Bharat is India. But there was ancient civilizations there. And so when the ET brothers, sisters, the galactic family would come to Earth, which it has many, many times, and many, many different civilizations and different galactic humans have come, we tended to worship them as gods. We felt, you know, they have big ships and they have bang sticks and they can float stones and build pyramids. And so the humans fell into worship mode. And even the Ra people, the famous Ra material now, it's surfacing big time with Corey Goode and David Wilcock now. And I was told about that stuff, you know, back in 1989. I was told about the ETs and the different beings coming. I see you, Brother Bob. I'm just learning this, so if I don't recognize and notice you all at this point, please be forgiving of me. But back when, so this is going to start the revealing on Earth, but it needs to be managed lovingly. This time of revelation, the book of Revelation, and we're so fucking angry at religionism, and we need to get over that too. I have a lot of fundamentalist Christians right now coming at me for the last 3 years. I used to break my heart because I could feel they had a real relationship with Jeshua, Jesus, not the Flavian fake Jesus promulgated by religionism, but the real being there. It is a real being, and I know we flip the other way. We go, well, no, it's completely made up. There never was a guy like Jesus. Well, you know, that's just not the way it is. There was a being there, and that was stolen, of course. But as all this starts being revealed to us on the planet, my intention is, a way so we don't tripwire things. If you have a domestic argument or a lover spat quarrel, if you go too fast, if you go past a certain line, you actually flip yourself into Jekyll and Hyde mode, right? You actually flip, and so much of your subconscious Pandora's box suppressed shit comes up that you black out and you kill each other. This is why every time there's a murder, the police are like, okay, who's the boyfriend? Who's the husband? Who's the wife? Because we have so much shoved down in denial, repression. Here's the trick. We're doing that for the whole planet. We're trying to come out of denial. But if you go too fast, you trigger World War III. That's like OJ blacking out and killing Nicole, or Juliet and Romeo and Juliet. So what we want to do with the revelation, in my view, if you don't want Mad Max and World War III and blowing up and restart and radioactivating the whole planet, you have to do the revealing slowly. Like when I work with people, if I go right into them with what I see in them, I will tilt them like a pinball machine. They just go unconscious. They literally will go asleep, right? And I've seen that a lot. If you go to healer events, often the conscious mind, this mind, the left mind, because it crosses over to the right side, right? We're bipolar, which we should be, right? Bicameral machinery monster saints is who we are as human beings at this point. So if you trigger it too strongly in someone or in a nation or on a planet, the whole place will blow up. That's why Jim Morrison says, jokingly, but not jokingly from stage, he says, I'm going to get my kicks before the whole shit house explodes. And my shaman friend, who's built this fantastic Shangri-La in the Sacred Valley of Peru, and where we're beautifully, thank you, God, but I deserve it because I put in the work. We can take people to these retreats there. He jokes about it too. I'm kind of the positive voice. He goes, nah, we're going to blow the shit house up, is how part of what he's seeing. So there's these alternate timelines, of people that do not want to wake up enough, and they will go with the Illuminati shepherds, the Illuminati masters that do want the destruction of Earth. And then they were going to take enough of slave species humans with them to work for them, which is actually going on right now. On Mars, there's basically slave camps. You can call them what you want, but, they'll seduce you. It's kind of like the army. Travel, get money, join the secret space program, come to Mars, live in an 8x8 cubicle. And it's just a red sand fucking planet. Is that fun? No, and you're never allowed to go back. So all this stuff's been going on, and it sounds really far out if you're listening to stuff like this for the first time. But we're basically managed cattle, managed sheeple, the Truman Show, right? But so many of us now, thousands, hundreds of thousands, actually millions, 20% of the humans, between 15 and 20%, my guess, these are all estimations, really are sick of the old game of build a civilization, destroy it. Build a civilization, destroy it. We've done that over and over and over again. Obviously, the United States and Europe and, the Western countries, Australia and so forth, and are a repeat of the Roman Empire. I mean, it's just, you can watch it. It's the same pillars. We use the same fucking pillars that in the Roman times, except now they're made of cheap plaster. They won't last, 2,000 years like they did in Rome. And the Greek was the last time that we had a Hellenistic, and Hella means light, actually. The Greeks invented everything. So here we are again. We're coming back up on this cusp. We're doing it right now. Here we go. Trump. We're going to fucking set off World War III. And I'm not picking on Trump. If you can get Trump and Bernie together, that's a symptom in America, this election, of, finally the people are realizing that the Tweedledum versus Tweedledummer game. So there's good signs, so they don't go for the old Bush cabal or the Clintons, which are obviously owned. And, they're just owned. Now, before you can have real awakening, you can't get rid of the cabal because you have chaos. You understand? If the people are just going to riot in the streets and be able to be fought each other, the oldest game, divide and conquer, you whisper to the look at this one. Here's how easy you can manage planet Earth into World War III. My point of all this is, if we have intention for time release as we're ready, a lot of you are ready to hear about stuff. Now, you know, when you've heard about all this stuff, you're like, oh my God, I'm in shock. I can't believe, you know. So lovingly source God, your own higher self, your own soul, is going to have time release capsules like embedded in your genetic structure, in your literal cells, that are going to go pop off, and you're going to go into maybe some heavy sadness about, oh my God, I can't believe this. And then be able to let in the powerful enjoyment and love and bliss. To be able to hold that in your body needs to be gradually worked up to. You know, I was just running this morning with the dogs. I do these sprints. You know, you can do a 5-minute workout. You don't have to spend 2 hours on the treadmill. It's better to do a 5-6 minute workout that gets you to exhaustion, that triggers your hormonal thing, right? Anyway, I was doing that this morning, and I hadn't done it for a while. I started it like 2 days ago, and I can tell I'm still sore. So you got to work up to it. Same thing here. We've got to work up to it gently. Love, caring, the way God's source is going to not overload you. I've done this in other lifetimes, and we've done it. We've been like crusaders, Joan of Arc. You know, we want to push for it. Let's tell all the truth all the time to everybody, right? But you get killed doing that. Why? Because you're scaring the mass consciousness, right? Jesus didn't pull it off. And then we try to make, oh, he did it on purpose. It was all planned, that he should have been killed. I don't think that's true. I think he got impatient and took it straight to the masses. And he didn't work through the cabals at the time, which was the Roman Empire and the Sanhedrin. And Joseph of Arimathea tried to do that with him. Joseph of Arimathea was the most wealthy merchant with a free pass from the Roman Empire, had tin mines in England and so forth. Also was Jesus's physical father, in my opinion. Okay, and he trained Jesus all across the planet. Went to India, Tibet, England, so forth. But even this story is going to surface. It's just barely surfacing now. Oh, Jesus and Mary Magdalene might have had a relationship. So all this stuff is going to have to surface on the planet. If we can have loving intention for those that are wanting to wake up, then you need to give it to them gradually. God did with me, Source did with me. And if Source always repeats it to me and says, Tobias, what if I had told you everything at once? Like, I pretty much would have killed myself. Or just been a wet spot drooling in the corner in some institution, right? So can we feel, what's the loving way to have this revealed? So when you share with family or friends or people, don't worry, you're going to start having people coming at you. As these years go very quickly now, exponentially, like, the Nautilus, you're going to have people just waking up left and right, those that are going to wake up. And then there's going to be a big chunk that are going to be live and let live and live and let die. Live and let be relocated, right, to another timeline, to another planet. That is very loving. Forcing someone to know things ahead of time before they're ready is very scary for people. I can't read all your comments. I can't multi-question right now, but I hear you guys. I'm looking at some of it. So can we put an intention there of, I don't want to recreate, Neanderthal time and have to do the Mad Max timeline. I'm not into it. I've done it. I've gotten killed, got my hands chopped up, sacrificed by Roman soldiers. I was a Roman soldier. I was a druid, the whole polarity game of karma. Feel that for a minute in your own soul. I've played polarity games of karma. I've been the perpetrator, the victim of whatever issue, the spirit of Earth versus the will of Earth is how it's termed in some places. There's been the body and the feelings versus the intellect and the mentation, and right? Body and emotions, I should say. Body and emotions versus the intellect and spirit, and heart caught in the middle, being crushed, crucified, sacrificed, laughed at as being naive. to step out of this bipolar fighting ourselves, our upper body, crown chakra. Everyone's worshiping the pineal gland. Oh, if you just open the, no, come on. Flaming psychopathic telepaths is not so healthy. You know, people that can see a lot often handicap themselves between lifetimes with massive glasses. If you ever watch someone take their glasses off that has really thick glasses, don't they change? Doesn't the energy totally change? Because they have overdeveloped the pineal gland in other lifetimes. The old archetype was they would actually blind themselves. That's why Odin has a patch. That's why the seers at Delphi, the oracles, the women would literally have their eyes plucked out. So it would force them to see through the pineal gland. In a lesser extent today, people like Ray Charles or Stevie Wonder force themselves to be able to feel the music by literally choosing to be born blind. Helen Keller, blind and deaf, to force her other talents to come up. The old way of sacrificing a piece of ourselves to activate these talents is not the new model. The new model, I see your questions, but I'm going to keep going on this tangent. The new model is we will not have to sacrifice ourselves. The old model has been sacrificed, right? Jesus, the huge archetype in the Western world, but the same with Krishna. They tried to kill Krishna, several times, killed the babies. That's not new. Horus is now going to start coming back. Horus is the model that the whole Bible, if you go to Egypt and talk to the Coptics, these are original Christians, right? When Christianity came out of Judea, some of it went down to Egypt. They became the Coptics, the Copts. And some went up, and that became the Roman Empire, forget the emperor, 300 AD something, he has a vision, and converts the whole Roman Empire into a religion that he can control, and then it breaks off into Greek Orthodox, and then it keeps splintering, so it's completely divided and conquered. But in the Coptic church, they will actually tell you, oh, Christianity came from the ancient Egyptian religion. What? Now, the Catholic Church doesn't want you to know that because it wants to be original and be able to, wear the big kahuna, and you got to do it our way. But Horus, the baby child, the son, is the same as the Christ child. It's the same entity. It's the same Christos. It's the same Logos. It's the same as Krishna, Christos, Horus. All these, the Father, Mother, and the Son. The Son is the mixture of Father and Mother, Adam, all that stuff. And we can study that on our own. But so at this time, the old sacrifice model, the God has to be sacrificed, whether that's being done in Druidic times, there has to be a sacrifice, a bloody sacrifice, usually Abraham and his son, or even to the Druids. Oh, well, the Druids are better. No, they're not. Not at the end. They are sacrificing. King Arthur has to chase with the other men the stag. That's why we have stag parties, right? All that. The stag, and literally murder the stag above him. He has to chase it down, tire it so much, and then the man who can do this first will be chosen of God. He has to open its belly and let the blood drain on him. King Arthur times, Druids. Then he's the chosen, whatever man can run down the stag. So a bunch of men would be to run for the stag. They would eventually tire it out, slit its belly open, let the blood come down. Same thing, blood sacrifice. Aztecs, blood sacrifice, blood sacrifice, blood sacrifice. There's been this pound of flesh. You have to give something up to get something. No pain, no gain. And sweat and toil. You have to trade something. That's the limited state. So we are moving towards this state of open energy. Now, the best thing we can do to assist this collectively is to make sure that your flesh, your cells, your kidney, your bodies, our bodies, are coming up to speed. If you want to help get rid of the blood sacrifice, which has been going on forever, basically, in collected history, remembered history right now. How many Iraqi children did we kill? 500,000. Did Madame Albright, the Secretary of State, actually say in an interview when asked directly? I forget who was asking, but it was a major interview in America. Do you think it's worth it? I.e., and that 500,000 children and the devastation that happened in Iraq. Is it worth it? And she's programmed, because she has to say, because of who runs the government, right? She says, yes, we do think it's worth it. They fucking blatantly can just say it right there. We think it's worth killing 500,000 children to achieve our aims in Iraq, which were exactly what? It didn't even work. The country's in total shambles. So this kind of, we need to sacrifice people, or in World War I, World War II, 100 million people killed. We're doing the blood sacrifice all the time on Earth. 35 million cows in America, or I'm not sure if that's just the US, killed, drained the blood. The Muslims doing the Hajj, killing thousands of lambs and goats and camels and bleeding them. Some of those sects actually will drink the blood directly from they'll stick the little lamb and just drink its blood, So this whole old bloodthirsty, blood feeding, sacrificing, hurting a part of ourselves is what we have an opportunity to get past now. You understand? And the first place to do that is in yourself. With, how does my body feel? Where am I neglecting my own flesh? How can your flesh, your body, be the glorification? That's the old way of saying it. Glory means glowing rays. Ray, R-E, the word rain, like in the kingdom rain. R-E, its root is a ray, a sun ray. Glory is a glowing rays coming off of you. And so all the mental stuff is fine. But at some point, humans are going to have to say, oh, I'm going to have to start upping my energetic rays. Swami Muktananda, in his book, Play of Consciousness, talks about his Kundalini awakening and what happens. Masters like Babaji, Krishna, Jesus, whatever, Mataji, a bunch of women to ayahuasca, it's just obviously not been publicized as much, Kuan Yin, etc. They can literally turn their bodies into effulgent rays and eventually pop between dimensions. That's freedom. Now, we're just reintroducing this concept collectively. It's been in secret teachings forever. It's always there. Babaji's been doing it, Yogananda's lineage, so forth, many other rainbow body Tibetans. So how can I help not kill 500 more children around the world with horrible, dirty bombs or whatever? I can start loving my own childlike cells, my own stem cells, instead of stealing the stem cells to inject and start stealing the vampire system and the new genetics. The more you start loving or appreciating, accepting, healing, cleaning that part of ourselves, then your glory, your glowing rays, your emanations will show up just by being present. I know when I'm glowing, which I'm not always, right? We're not. When I'm glowing and I walk into the grocery store, if I'm really turning it up, people will walk up to me and just want to talk to me for no reason. There's not no reason. They want some of that. Give me some of that juice. They don't know why. And so the real healing, holding of the earth must include, yes, fight it, expose it, explain it, theorize, sure. But it must include the actual glorification of yourself, the upgrading of yourself, the cleaning of yourself, the kundaliniing, The Kundalini cleaning. It's a good one. Kundalini cleaning of yourself, because you are a piece of this particular mandala of humans on the earth. And all the teaching is great to activate the thought fact that, oh, I need to do this. That's like walking into a house and realizing, okay, it's really dirty and it needs to be upgraded and, you know, we need to fix it. That's that realization of what needs to be done. But that's not the actual cleaning. The actual cleaning is one full divine breath and feeling your inner energies up and down your spinal column. And you don't have to turn into Eckhart Tolle and be all quiet and meek. You don't have to do that. He's doing an awesome job, of course, but that's all the collective's ready to handle. You know, we still think that programmed spiritual image, the idolatrous spiritual misimage of that the yogi sits and only feels some kind of bliss all the time. It's not how it works. That is all the collective can still handle. But so when you're out and about riding your mountain bike or whatever, you want connection, you want hookup to your river of life inside your Kundalini. This is what's coming. The real work, yes, we need people to destroy it, destroy the old, show it for what it is, call it on its bullshit. We need to do that. But the real change is not just David Icke's work, which is awesome, super pioneer. You know, I went to see him and had some interaction with one of his partners one time. Anyway, awesome work, fantastic. That's his job, doing it. He's doing great, right? But not everyone's here to, quote, expose the bullshit, the evil, the shenanigans, you know, the horrible stuff that goes on. The communists in Russia, they were exposing tyranny of an aristocracy. But once they got in power, because they didn't heal themselves, they actually became exactly what they fought. So you got to be careful of becoming that which you fight. You know, cursing the darkness is okay. It has its right time and place. But unless you light a candle and do the new thing, do the new thing. That's what people are going to. Your kids see what you do. They feel you. That's what imprints on your kids. So us upgrading, just keep that in mind. So this old model of let's fight the cabals and you know, all that. Yes, that needs to happen. That's going to happen. It's a great show. By the way, you're in for a great show. Next few years is going to be a fucking interesting show on planet Earth, right? A bunch of this stuff's going to get exposed. And you can participate as much or as little as you want. How do you want it? Feel it. How do I want this? How do I want it to play out? Do I want to participate? At what level? Do I want to just enjoy the show, go to the movies? Do I want to get in there and be one of the actors? What you're drawn to is what your soul put into you. Now, I would suggest a big part of what you came to do also includes your own personal healing, you know? And if you don't do that, you end up like Trotsky, the communist. You know, he was the idealist. But as soon as they got in power, they killed him off. And basically, you know, Lenin took over, right? So idealism is not enough. You have to do the groundwork, healing yourselves. Constantine, somebody said, yeah, that's exactly the emperor back in that converted and started using Christianity was, yeah, Constantine. So how do we do the revelation, the apocalypse, which is the Greek word, full? It just means full divine revelation. That's all apocalypse means. Now, to those scared of being shown for what they really are, it is doomsday, and it should be, you know, all the shenanigans, the secret shit, the controlling, the hiding free energy, etc., keeping people down on the farm, controlling people, experimenting on them literally, you know. All that stuff is now going to come to the surface. All things shall come to light. It's boiling up right now. It is in America. You know, we're realizing Hillary Clinton's a fucking complete political animal that will do anything, you know, that, but whose fault is that? We didn't want to know. The public was in denial. So just lie to us, please. Lie to us. You know, it's like the magic pill religion, magic pill politics, which is, hey, elect me and everything will be great, which it never is. So finally, the people are now at least getting outraged or cynical enough or angry enough, right, by seeing through the lies of the old fake bipolar Demopublicans, Republicrat game in America. Now, that's a scary time because then you have other influences come in, right? Like just outrage is just go to war so we can divert from having to look at ourselves. It's nice to have an enemy to fight, right? Because then you can focus on how they are the evil ones. And then we don't have to take any responsibility ourselves. So there's in our collective subconscious, let's just create a world war. And then we know we have to work in the factories and we have a goal to do, you know. It's very difficult to get quiet or introspective, law of reflection. Look at yourself versus fuck them. They're the root of all our problems, right? That's easier. The ego prefers that versus looking at ourselves. That's why it's so easy. And it's been set up to, you know, in America, look at the evil, you know, Muslims and the crazy terrorists. If we just kill them all, everything will work out. And then on the other side, the same voice is telling them, look at the satanic West, you know, look at how they treat their women. They just, you know, they let them wear bikinis basically with nothing on, and satanic and orgies. Of course, they're evil. So it's very easy to program the Muslim world how the great Satan is the West, and the West that the great Satan is them. So it's easy then to finally let them go as two pit bulls and at each other. Then you feed off the mayhem, basically. So that's the Kabbal's method. And if enough of the collective humans decide, we don't want to be easily pitted one against the other, then we have a shot at not doing World War III. Any questions, guys? I'm going to start looking at this. I see you, Bobby, there asking stuff. Christie's quoting Pink Floyd. Everything under the sun is in tune, but the sun is eclipsed by the moon. Yes. Yeah. So if you got anything you want to ask, just write it in here, and I'll try to start looking at that. So can we agree? And it's up to us individually, right? There's going to be very strong influences to divide and conquer this movement on Earth, which is if we have 15%, let's say 20%, easy math, of 7 billion people, 2 times 7, 1.4, 1.4 billion people out of 7 billion people. Let this encourage us. Don't want Armageddon as usual. Don't want to kill another civilization and full-on harvesting, murder, kill, rape, degenerate into the subconscious Pandora's box. 20% of the people don't want that. The other 80% may be completely programmable and usable by whoever decides to run their television station. Yes. But it doesn't work one for one. If you have 10% of the population that doesn't want it and they are more conscious, that's actually the collective that gets created. So let that be encouraging. Everywhere you go now, people from all kinds of walks of life know the deal. They don't want to do the old way. And we have to de-addict ourselves from this addiction to wanting leaders, right? This is really interesting. You're all having synchronicities, I'm sure. I just put this out to a client yesterday. I said, what if all of a sudden the government went away tomorrow? There's absolutely no government. How would we feel? Then I happened to be watching Joe Rogan and some guy about politics, and Joe Rogan does the exact same thing. He goes, imagine government went away tomorrow. Would there be total chaos, or would we do some kind of collective online figuring this out for ourselves? So as this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with having given our power away. But there's enough of us that don't want to do the catastrophism again, you know? So it's really encouraging times. Joel, did you have something? Is that why you're coming back on, or did you just put your face back up there? Okay, that's fine. No worries. So it's actually very encouraging at this time. But the real thing is going to, again, be our personal shift too. This is why you're going to see also out in the world there, you're going to see a lot of people that are seemingly crusading for one thing. Like this will be a common Jekyll and Hyde thing in the collective consciousness. Someone will be pushing and crusading and on the forefront of something because they're fighting that aspect in themselves. This is going to become increasingly apparent that people are fighting what's inside themselves. You're going to have very strange revelations of people that are on the surface one way, and then their shadow side is exactly the opposite. Whether this is, you know, super spiritual teachers or politicians or normal humans, you know, we're going to have to have a reintegration of these seemingly opposite polarities in ourselves. And this is going to be very, very shocking. This is why it's happening on the news. You know, you see a lot of the stuff of, oh, he was such a good member of the church, and then he was running the prostitution ring at night. Or the congressman from Florida. These are actual cases. He was literally caught with his pants down, masturbating, while he's talking to a 14-year-old in Congress, in the Capitol. He's caught in his office. To a 14-year-old, while he is the main proponent of a Save the Children bill and protect the children from, you know, child predators. This is completely normal. That which you are polarizing in yourself is that which you fight on the surface and do in the subconscious, right? So, and we're going to have in your own merging of your own polarities, like, why am I doing all this spiritual stuff? Well, some of my lifetimes weren't so spiritual, right? So are we paying penance? Are we rebalancing? Yes, sometimes, you know. So be willing to see your own lifetimes. Like one of my spiritual teachers and I, part of our work was we had to have two males actually be willing to be honest with each other, with some heart, with some love. And I remember sitting in the Superstition Mountains one time, beautiful place. God has to seduce you, you know, to get you to relax, you know, so you're willing to look at your shit, right? Beautiful. It was a beautiful spring in Arizona, and the water was flowing more than normal. It's just like magic, you know. And we're relaxing, and all of a sudden we both feel this old lifetime we had together, where we were, you know, serious pirates. You know, we were rebels. You know, 1500s or 1600s, whenever the Spanish were and the Portuguese were doing all their explorations, and we, you know, we collected a whole bunch of loot and treasure and did the whole archetypal pirate lifetime. You know, full on, lawless. You know. Stealing, betraying each other. So anyway, we had amassed enough loot, and so we're seeing this lifetime. We have to be willing to see and feel it. Your dark sides, they've been labeled dark. This is the time where we're going to accept all those parts of ourselves. We've been playing these roles, you know. I still don't know how to work the questions, you guys. I'm way behind on it, so please be patient with me on that. Thank you. Hey, I watched Joe Rogan. Somebody said that's Amy. Gotcha. Yeah, Joe's cool. Good stuff. He's a little hardcore still on spiritual stuff, but he'll learn. Anyway, we're seeing this lifetime, and so we've amassed enough of the loot, and we basically just fucking betray the guys that work with us. We're the pirates. We just dump them. We kill them and dump them at sea. You know, nasty shit, or give them a boat. You know, they're gonna drown. You know. So we've done all that, and it's just the two of us left. Off we go to bury the treasure, or at least part of it, right? And it's a little island in the Canary Islands. I actually could feel it. I was actually asking Bob, I go, which island is it? And he's like, you will not get that information, you know? So we go to this little lonely beach, total archetype, pirates, but it's real. We're like reliving it. We can see it. And you don't relive it. My friend sees it more in actual full-on stereo vision. You know, I see it more internally. You know, you're different. Don't look at how other people gain their spiritual insights. Follow how it works for you. Seeing spirits in the actual 4 and 5D is not necessarily the best way to do it. It can mesmerize you too much and get you lost in that. It's better to just know and have the internal voice, so forth. Anyway, so we're viewing this lifetime. He's viewing it his way. I'm viewing it internally. He's actually viewing it on the screen, sitting there. We're sitting on a ledge in the mountains above a little lake that's formed in the spring. We go to this beach. We land fine. It's a bit of a heavy swell, you know, just him and I in the boat. Easy to land. This is our blind spot, right? We bury most of the treasure, and then as we're about to get back on the boat, my little evil mind goes, well, let's fucking kill him too. So he doesn't know where the treasure is, and you're set forever. You know, you can bring that stuff anywhere in Europe, buy mansions, you know, hang out, have your harems, do whatever you want to do. So I kill him. I just catch him from behind, just slice his throat. My friend, now I'm sitting with right there, he said, one of my best friends now in this lifetime. Kill him. He bleeds out. Right? Here's the problem. Not smart, right? I got to get off the beach. And this boat is normally rowed with 5 or 6 guys, and we could barely do it, the 2 of us. Now I'm by myself. I can't get off the beach. The swell is too hard. I try it anyway. And then in steps my soul, smashes the boat. One of the boards of the boat literally goes through my throat. And I die there as well. So we relived that lifetime. A lot of these things are going to come up for you if you're interested in clearing your polarities. So was I the bad guy? Yeah, from the world's point of view, I was the bad guy in that lifetime. You're going to have to be willing to see your bad guy, bad person personas. Madonna, whore, you know, the whole bit. Al Capone versus Elliot Ness, you know, Nazi versus that. All of it has got to surface if you want resolution, real healing, you know? Yeah. That's going to come up on the real healing path. You trying to do it by, oh, it's all sweet and let's all love each other. No, it's not going to work. Not going to work. You're going to get interesting wake-up calls, cancer, divorce, bankruptcy, you know, all kinds of shit, physical problems, emotional problems. This is the time. So the most powerful thing you can do to heal the world and prevent World War III is to heal yourself, for sure. For sure. Now, if your role is also to share all this stuff, it's helpful to share it collectively because we're creating a momentum, you know, the History Channel, Ancient Aliens, all that stuff. Yeah. We're creating a momentum into the collective. Regular media is completely gone, by the way. People like Drudge Report or Alex Jones, or you may or may not like him, you know, but he's got his job to do. He's got a job to do. We all have different jobs to do. Eckhart Tolle and fucking Alex Jones are both working for the awakening of the planet. Now, some of you may, oh, he's a total shill. All that whole game of disinfo and he's a shill, he's an agent, that whole paranoia game, you're going to have to learn to discern also, you know. You're going to have to learn to discern that. And the only safe place, this is the only safe place there's ever been in the galaxy, ever, is not this, the Hall of Mirrors. So-and-so, triple espionage, you know, so-and-so's working for so-and-so. All the truthers right now that are falling for the flat earth bullshit, sorry to offend some of you, perhaps, is because you're caught in the disinfo, psyop, suspicion land. In my opinion, by the way. The flat earth things actually come from the secret parts of NASA, which they're actually really fucking enjoying fucking with people. They're going to see how many of the, quote, truthers they can actually bamboozle into believing this flat earth bullshit. Sad to see in a way, but actually necessary. Because people that are only caught here and they can't feel, your heart and your solar plexus are the ultimate bullshit detectors. You cannot fall for ridiculous psyop disinfo campaigns. You'll know instantly. I remember years ago, and now it's coming out by some people talking about it, with Zechariah Sitchin when he would talk about the Anunnaki. I would just go, there's something not right about this. I could feel it. It's always protected me, this feeling. I've been naive, totally. I've been totally naive. I've been caught, backstabbed a lot in this lifetime, or I've been too hopeful. Sure. But underneath that, if you ask, one of the huge things you can do is go, let me hook up with my intuition, my heart and my belly, Father, Mother, Source, God. Let me hook up with that, and you can ask for protection. Don't let me get lost. For those souls that need to get lost in complete spy versus spy games, who's most bamboozled? It gets insane. It's the hall of mirrors. It's going to the fun house. It's all fractured mirrors of yourself. It's the crazy land, and so if you're only in your head trying to figure out who's out spying who's doing the super disinfo, who's, what's the secret program behind this? Like people I'm not picking on anybody here like Jim Mars or people that are just into the head thing about secret and revealing and the space program. They will have done their job, but at some point you go simple. You become ye as little children. Jesus did. Krishna did. Krishna was a king. King Arthur was. Lincoln was. John F. Kennedy had some of that energy, of going pure. Not from man-stupid rules, like he shouldn't be fucking Marilyn Monroe. Who cares? That actually makes them human. Get real. No, they had Catholic crap. The Kennedys did crap. Get real, of course. Father Joe, the mafia, prohibition, all that stuff. But if you get caught in that, you end up in that. If you get caught in suspicion land, in paranoia land, you end up in that. Whatever you are spending your attention on is where your attention is. Energy flows where attention goes. Yeah, some of that. So we're learning all this stuff. We have a real shot at, next time I'm going to be able to pull you guys on here and ask questions and stuff like that. This time I'm just going to kind of do this. Okay, I don't know about that stuff. Some of this stuff. Anyway, Anastasia book. Somebody's asking about Anastasia. Yeah, I love her. Good stuff. So this is going to come at us from multiple angles. The most powerful thing you can do is to make sure you have a personal healing life as well. How am I feeling right now? Notice your tailbone. The one conscious breath is one of the most simple, the world's shortest meditation. I'm going to do a video actually at some point of just the three main techniques of doing a full conscious breath. Simple. Because this is going to save you. If and when the solar flare comes, that separates timelines, which is what I see potentially as one of the ways. There will be a Mad Max timeline. There will be many timelines occur simultaneously. They're just going on right now. There's just going to be a nexus point of conscious choice. Imagine sort of like an hourglass, but in multiple D, 3, 4, 5D. There's that squeezing together point coming on Earth. And then from there's going to be a whole bunch of different dimensional timelines pop up. It's sort of forcing, in a sense, not forcing, it's just natural spiritual physics because of the galactic frequencies that we're moving into right now. So it's not a force by some god that's making you do it. It's not it. It's just natural energies. You're going to get a choice to choose love, to choose respect, I should say. Everyone, the love versus control is not exactly accurate. When people say love, you must choose either love or fear. That's bullshit. That's half-truth spiritualism. Whenever you hear you must choose either love or fear, that's half-truth spirit-mongering. Lots of half-truth spirit-mongering will be coming up. I'm trying to find a comfortable place here. On the planet. We're going to have to go through that as well. You're going to have to go through that. In order to learn to swim, you have to get in the pool. So God can't say, Source can't say, oh, here's your swim certificate. I'll just say you learned to swim. That's not good for you. Next time you're on the boat and you fall overboard, you drown. So at this time on Earth, everyone has to learn to swim the ethers, to swim in the fourth dimension, to swim in the fifth dimension. And if you move up to the sixth dimension, you have to learn it. Source is loving by making you fucking get in the pool and learn it. You can't fake it. You can't fake it. If you want it, learn it. If you don't, if you end up in fake land and have a bunch of followers and that worship you and you'll fucking mentally masturbate about, oh, this is what's coming, and yeah, you can do that, but you're in for a big wake-up call. It's not a good time. There's lots of seduction. So the full spectrum human, which is the title I'm going to call these things, is when you're finally safe. When you're running on all 7 energy centers. Actually, there's more than that, of course. That's just a model. Chakras are fucking made up. And they're real. See? Gravity is made up, and it's very real until you know how to master it. So we're going to discover more chakras. The 8th chakra and the 9th, below, between the knees is the black chakra. I was doing a talk in Prescott a few years ago. The place I went and did it, they, had some eruption afterwards, projection of spiritual shit. Oh, Tobias pretending he's being enlightened. No, I'm not. I got my stuff to deal with as well. I'm just a little less foolable because I've had the shit kicked out of me, right? So I was doing a talk there, and all of a sudden this concept just came in. Oh, we have a black chakra. Duh, it's between our knees. We haven't gone all the way to the black, the void. We haven't dealt with it because we've been afraid of it. The red, the next step on the rainbow out of deep, 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 deep red is towards black. Well, we're going to rediscover the black chakra between our knees, too. It's actually the most security, feeling, peace, loving, solid, connected to the universe chakra you can have. And you're going to have other ones manifesting as well. As we develop and grow, we will start to know more of these other energies as well. But you cannot fight the cabal and win. You can't have peace through dropping bombs. You can't create love through shooting people. There will be cabals that will be on public trial. Absolutely. That's their experience, and that's what their souls need. Again, you're in for an interesting show on Earth. Coming up the next few years. Wow. Cool. That's like, holy monkeys. Good show. And those of you that are young, you came in to really help with this transition. But remember, for yourself first, if you anchor it in your cells, if you anchor it in your own DNA radio catchers, your DNA is a catcher of frequencies, not just light, but other frequencies as well. That's moving towards, just imagine for a second, not having to eat. You've come out of that sacrificial place, haven't you? You no longer need to sacrifice flesh to survive. That's also going to be a harbinger of the gateway of free energy. But this cannot be rushed into. The majority of the population on Earth right now is still not ready to have free energy. Sort of like drug dealers, or like you get too much money, you just waste yourself, or get addicted or end up killing somehow. It's like we can't handle that quite. It has to be gradually brought in. There are the people that can do your job. If you're at the place on the cusp of moving into free energy, sitting and feeling the source filling you, do your path. Do your path. Do that. I'm ready. Part of me is like ready to go. Okay, I'm done. I just need to go live, by myself by the river in my cabin, right? To just sit there and feed myself. But that's not exactly what my soul came to do. I want me first. I want to heal me first. I want to feel good. Feel that in yourself. Then you can help destroy the cabals and all that shit. You'll be much more effective, by the way. Babaji, who makes no public appearances in our current human culture, Yogananda's Param Guru, teacher, whatever, he was Krishna. He had a major life on earth, but he chose to retain his body. And he still has a physical body on earth. He looks like 25 years old. He's been alive for 9,000 years. But he doesn't appear publicly. He doesn't have a social security number, but he's always in direct physical contact with a bunch of humans, and he's spreading his influence now. He does more to heal the planet by sitting there with the glowing rays, the glory, and the multiple timelines, and working with thousands of people, millions of people, and holding space for the planet. He's doing more work than, if he was having a physical body out there protesting or pushing. It all has its place. So find your role, heal yourself, find your role, and that will be enjoyable. All right, someone is asking about the 7 chakras. That is a model. The reason we've attached to that model is because India, the Vedas, the eternal teachings, and India came from Lemuria. Basically, if you look on the globe, see if I can do it your way. Okay, here's Africa. I don't know. Here's India right here. Well, down from India, where Bali is, Bali has all the Indian traditions too, Rama and all that. And off into the Pacific towards Hawaii here, you got a huge continent named Mu. Lemuria also, which is only a remnant there. Lemurs live on Madagascar over here in Africa, right? The gods of language actually sow these things just for fun with us. So they call them lemurs because they actually still represent the way we were. We would be able to bound, jump 45 feet at a time. So lemurs still have some of that bounding gait. It's no accident. Well, anyway, the teachings survived because basically India was a piece of Mu that got pushed up into Asia. And that's why the Himalayas are sitting right on top of India, and they're the tallest mountains on the world. It's the most wrinkled, crinkled earth surface right there. But India, that actual physical land, Bharat, is very, very ancient. The bridge between Sri Lanka and India is literally 2 million years old. There was a human built, not exactly humans. There was a kind of a ape monkey, Hanuman, Hanuman. That stuff's real. Now with Google satellites, we can actually see the bridge. You can Google it. There's a bridge between Sri Lanka and India, the tip of India, which was said in the old Ramayana. There was a bridge built by the monkey men, which was us basically. See, we were interacting with galactic space family, the blue people, Shiva, Krishna, etc. Krishna actually means the dark one, meaning he has blue skin. So the model of the 7 chakras is what came with Mu, and India we managed to retain it. So that's why the 7 chakra model has spread largely across the planet. Now, there is an insert of Kabbalah, which I'm not attracted to. The Hebraic, Mesopotamian, Anunnaki stuff is like, ugh, if I have one aversion on the planet, I'm kind of aversion to that. But it all has its place when you look at the big. It's just not my personal history that I'm that attracted to. Babylonia, the Hanging Gardens, the Sumer, all that stuff, and they have a different model, the Tree of Life, the Kabbalah. That's like 12 chakras or something. That's as valid too. Some of them are outside the body. So whatever's right for you. Now, the 7 chakra system, yes, the black chakra just showed up in that talk I was giving. I just felt it. And I just had everybody stand up, and we stood there kind of like you're doing Tai Chi and see if you can drop down below your tailbone. Breathe through the bottom of your feet. Feel the real actual attaching to it or experiencing it is what's going to save us. See, so here's a good example. You can hear about the black chakra and tell your friends, oh, there's actually a black chakra. Yeah, I'm farther ahead than you. I know more than you do. Complete fucking mental bullshit. No, you know what I'm saying? It's like ego crap. But actually, feeling your tailbone and your sex and dropping down and starting to feel for where is the void. The waters, Moses tries to explain ancient Atlantean tech description to illiterate Hebrews when he says, writes Genesis. They've been slaves for hundreds of years. They're illiterate. They have no clue. They've forgotten who they are. He can't tell them about electromagnetism and the void and the pregnant point of the no time space. Before time space, there's just a potential. Imagine beyond time space. The universe is non-existent before it becomes time space. What's that place like? Well, the center of your black chakra between your knees contains and holds the pregnant point that the Vedas talk about. The human mind has a hard time imagining collapsed time-space. A black hole is close to it. Or imagine a collapsed star that has become super dense. Like the weight of the earth can be held in a golf ball. Because the atoms are so spread out, they're basically all empty space, that if you collapse, but that's a theory too. Is there anything physical at all? So the 7 chakras are made up. The 8th chakra that certain shamanic traditions in South America talk about, the sun, the Inca gate. The Inca gate. You come to ayahuasca with us, where Mike has built this holy place. He's just unbelievable. It's on the ancient grounds where the royal Inca priests used to retreat and go and be by themselves. They built an artificial waterfall there, hundreds or 1,000 years ago. Mike has that property. That's where we do the ayahuasca retreats. It's unbelievable. 4 major shamans buried on the property. But they had the golden sun disk. Sometimes see it in Egypt too, between that bull's horns and the disc, These are all approximations, but they're real. If you've made chakras in the 4th dimension, which we have, see, in the 5th dimension and above, first you're a point of nothing. What's the point? Yeah, nothing. Exactly. I'm a point of nothing, of pure potential. We almost cannot even imagine that. But as we drop the 5th dimension, we're spheres. That's why everybody's into now spheres now. That's why, orbs, let's picture orbs, which 98% of those pictures are actually just dust and moisture in the air. But there are real orbs, of course. What's the basic shape in the universe? Some of you have heard me say this. What's the last time, what shape are suns and planets? Orbs, right? Except for the flat earth people. But so that's the basic shape in the universe. Come on, people. Flat earth, really? All right, send me the hate mail. Attack me as a globular globalist or whatever. That basic shape is the shape where our souls in the 6th, 7th dimension. And again, those are made up too. But at some point approaching the 0 pregnant point that the Vedas talk about, we are just a pure potential that can spread, that can manifest, that can pop in and out. This is like Stargate, right? When Babaji dematerializes, when Jesus materializes and dematerializes, they seemingly come out of nowhere. It's like they come out of a point of consciousness and then give whatever form that won't freak you out totally, So in the 5th dimension, it seems to me, we are spheres. But when we go to the 4th dimension, that sphere unpulls itself, kind of like an accordion. And that sphere turns into 7, 8, 9, whatever we're ready to see, balls of energy of different colors. And that creates the spinal column. The connections between those spheres create a river of life that then starts spreading out into nerves and then starts clothing itself in cells. The first thing that happens in the zygote, in the sperm egg, when is the little infolding of and it creates a spinal cord. And then it grows from there. My doggy's barking because mommy had to leave her. I'm going to have to let her do it. All right. She's a puppy still, and she will chew stuff up. Unless you guys hang on. All right? Hang on. I'm going to go let her out so she doesn't bark. So feel the idea. Feel the idea of in the center of your chakras are literal zero space time points of pure potential. Just feel that for a second. Let me go get my puppy. Sorry about that. Allie, okay, baby. Allie, stop. Oh. Okay. I got the whole troop here, 4 of them. The little puppy doesn't like to. Here she is. I don't know if you can see her. This is the culprit right here, Allie. Anyway, so yes, we have multiple models for chakras. And it's high time we actually start really feeling this inside ourselves. Because knowing about it is the booby prize, right? There's going to be a lot of people that come to the other side, to the 4th dimension in their astral, their heavenly body, that are going to, I missed it. Damn it, I knew all that, but I didn't actually do it. But don't worry, there's eternity to do it. But Earth is shifting into an upgraded system where she is really not going to want just mentalism on her surface anymore. She's had enough of that. Just mental ideas and knowing is actually not that healthy, as we're noticing. So yes, enjoy the show that's coming, the revealing, the big revelations, whether that's, shenanigans by cabals that have run the world, but it's really you revealing yourself to yourself. The only reason there's power in, quote, evil cabals is because we gave our power away. You shut down your television ability, your instant knowing ability, your ability to manipulate energies or to work with energies. When was the last time you felt your skin? When's the last time you felt this part of your skin behind your shoulder blade here? And noticed that it is like a radio receiver and a sensing mechanism. Like you can feel the universe through your skin. Yogananda used to actually do it. He'd stand up and go like this and go, he'd feel like the vibrations. I mean, he'd look a little weird sometimes doing it. So when we've shut down our abilities, or we've been programmed that we don't have them anymore, those abilities go somewhere. Those energies go somewhere. And they go to harvesting beings that, in a sense, are demons, in a sense, are ETs that feed off of Earth. It takes 2 to do it. It takes 2 to do it. So the only reason there's been secret powers, hidden power, and the fact that we can be bamboozled, or the large majority of the population of Earth can be bamboozled into not knowing about bases on the moon, for example, is because we've given our power away. That's not all there's to it. Some of us have given our power away. Others have not been ready to see that level of awareness yet. There's many types of spirits on earth, and we'll do a whole segment on that sometime. So instead of fighting the game of fighting how bad, I mean, it's so obvious. Look at America right now. Good friends of mine, they're like, and be patient with this. He's vitriol. They're so angry at Trump, they literally want to assassinate him. And then other people are so angry at Hillary, they want to just do the same to her. That's just us, how easily we're divided and conquered. And to spend our rage at some person, object, at something that we're being shown, this is the evil one. And then the beings that feed on rage energy, they just lap it up. You know, the beginning of Jupiter Ascending is a good scene, that movie where they've just harvested a planet of life force, which is the highest commodity in the universe. This is actually true. This is exactly what's going on Earth. We're not meant to die in 75, 80, 90 age, you know. It's just not real. If you're made of eternal energy, why would you decay against your will? But that's just a symptom of how much we've forgotten to feel our skin. The most foundational method I use is the inner body awakening. That's what I say, start with that. Get in touch with your own energies. How can you help unless you're actually in touch with your system? You're not even present in the body. You can go off and mentally create fucking channels and this and thousands and millions of followers and yakking about the new system, about the 7 principles of this and that. It's just a waste of time, mostly. If you're not in touch with yourself. It's very seductive. I was feeling it this morning on how we do cults so easily, you know. And I was feeling it from the point of view of the person who thinks they're the teacher. They have this insight, and then they start creating followers, right? And teachings about this and that and the other, but it's just a macabre trap. It's like self-masturbation, sort of like that. So I want to encourage not that. I've done that in other lifetimes. And this is a difficult one, you know, but that's why I'm human. I'm going to be really transparent with it. The reason I say fuck, the reason I'm human, the reason I'm going to have real emotions is so that I scare off those people that I want a guru that I can project my enlightenment into so I don't actually do the fucking work myself and create my own enlightenment. I can feel it sometimes. My spirit goes, do this, say this, post this. That'll get rid of any of that sycophantic bullshit. I don't do it on purpose. It's just sort of like happens. So, yeah. So the inner body awakening, I recommend it. You don't need to buy it from me, but if you want to, go ahead. It's very helpful. But you can learn, it's an ancient Shiva technique. Eckhart talks about it briefly in his book, being Power of Now. It's basically feeling your inner energy body, putting your attention on the energy, feeling yourself as energy, noticing your whole field, not being caught in the ivory tower mentalism. So, but drop down, feel your root chakra. Notice a full conscious breath. I'm going to do more details of this. I'm actually going to do a YouTube video. Well, this will be posted to YouTube, I hope, if I did this right. But we'll do that. Basic, simple, connective techniques. Basic full conscious breath and feeling your energy, yourself as an energy. And then there's a couple other techniques that I work with. A few years ago, God just said, Tobias, we need tools that work. We don't need 108 ways of breathing and special tool. We found the one secret magic technique. No, it doesn't work that way. There's a whole mental, it's like the carrot before the ass, the donkey. If you find the one little trick, that's why it works. Look at all the stupid advertising that goes, one weird trick to do X, Y, Z. And our minds are like, I want to know the weird trick. Completely using us, our subconscious against us. It works. One weird trick. Of course, it's always, how to improve your sex life. Or whatever. Beat the market. One weird trick. There's no weird trick that's going to solve it for you. That's just, distraction. But there are some real pieces of yourself, like feeling your heart, like feeling your energy field. If I connect to me first, I can't get fooled again. I'm so glad, I'm so lucky. I'm grateful, and I fucking deserve it. No false humility, not so helpful. Because I put in the work. I was willing to walk away, Everyone has ever been through they've had stuff happen to make sure they clean themselves. So there are real methods, and one of them is that which is there, which is your heart, your spinal column. You can't argue with those. I don't have a spinal column. I don't believe in that. Okay, you're in fucking la la land. It's like people saying, the sun doesn't come up. The sun's not real. People say, well, it's just your opinion. Well, no. Some things are not just someone's opinion. You have a physical heart. Something is breathing you. That's not anybody's opinion. In human physical form, that is what's happening, what is. I don't believe in breathing. I think it's just a made-up concept. That shows how idiotic that is. That's sort of like Advaita stuff. A lot of false Advaita today. You go, oh, nothing ever happened. I'm not going to believe in it. That is because you're so traumatized, you don't want to deal with it. It's basically denial. That path of the Neo-Advaita, most of them, the vast majority of them, is just complete denial of the human experience, unwilling to experience. I know I'm going to ruffle feathers with people with that one, but what the fuck? Who cares? I'm doing what I want. Why? Because I want to feel good, because I want to heal myself, because I want to get my kicks before the shit house explodes. No, because I actually have a hopeful heart. Come on, Jim. That a bunch of us, a whole bunch of us, hundreds of thousands, millions, are going to make huge leaps as part of this galactic cycle that takes 65 million years to go around. One re-evolution, one revolution of the galaxy, 63, 65 million years, whatever it is. By the way, I'm not always going to be perfect on facts, because that insistence on myopic facts locks your universe down. Besides, time is not linear. I don't care how much Greenwich Mean Time, not very kind, unkind time we create. It's just not real. That's why when we talk about different epochs on Earth, people go, well, how long ago was that? It depends. Because time does not move at the same speed. You know that. There's times in your life when time is like, wow, it just went by super fast. And other times it's, oh my God, I wish this was over. Time does not move at constant speeds. Time is not a constant. Some physicists out there should start really sharing that now with us. Flexible time. It's time for that to come out. We know energy and matter are interchangeable. Thank you, Einstein. E equals mc squared. But where's flexible time? Time is not a constant. You have all these gifts. We all have all these gifts inside us. But we're avoiding being with ourselves. Being with ourselves, capital S, the big S and the elves. I was just in Ireland. I was definitely, the first morning there, I'm jet lagged. I come out of the door. There's a little gnome standing. He's like 8 inches tall or 10 inches tall. Now I just see it as light. I don't see the form. I see the light. It looks physical. And then I can see the image of who, I can feel who that being is. Don't compare yourself to these psychics. How balanced are most of those psychics you ever see on TV or at the local New Age store? That doesn't feel good. They're a little unbalanced. They're all stuck in seeing. Seeing is just a tiny part of being. Be more interested in being than I'm going to develop my pineal gland. Don't overdevelop your pineal gland. You run the risk of going actually kind of, schizophrenic. Allow the gifts to come to you as you've upgraded your system. And one day you realize, Joy was just doing it for the first time in her life. The other day she goes, I keep seeing a light on over here. And I'm like, yeah, normal in my, I understand. And I remember the time when my teacher, the guy that I killed as a pirate, who was a teacher for me actually, I'd say he'd see the spirits and I'd be like, what the hell's wrong with me? I don't see nothing. You're going to feel some of that, but don't compare. And then one day you're going to go, oh, I've been sensing this all along. It'll slowly reveal itself usually. Let it come in its own time. Let the gifts, just like in the yoga, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, he says, don't go after the powers. Let them come and lay down at your doorstep of their own accord. Then it's safe. Otherwise, you can run the risk of being seduced by, I can implant thoughts in people's heads or, whatever. I can control their energy fields. And those are can be long drawn out hells to come back out of. So we're going to do these. I'm going to try to do them Thursdays at this time, free. And then the webinars that I do on Sundays are, maybe another level, or we can be a little bit more truthful and sharing, what we need personally and that kind of stuff, and some laugh, fun, and play. I do recommend the Inner Body Awakening as a foundation platform. If you really, money is a super issue, I don't withhold anything from people. If you write to me and say, I'm freaking got nothing, we can work things out. I don't try to turn anybody away. This is all from God. God's source gave it to me. It's not about the money. Hopefully we can get rid of the money system at some point. But in the meantime, making yourself poor and, having that struggle is not so healthy. So we got to play with the money system. There's new stuff coming, by the way. I can't get a hold of it, but like Bitcoin, something online. I know they shut down Bitcoin. They killed the young woman that was running it in Singapore. Of course, it's a huge area. I mean, getting rid of money into no need for money, which is what we're headed to. Is that going to happen in 50 years or 500 years? I don't know. But in the meantime, you have to be smart about money. Being all spiritual and being in poverty all the time is not helpful. You need to be able to have the means necessary to do the things you need to do so that you can be effective, But Inner Body, good place to start, innerbodyawakening.com. If you like to hang out on the webinars on Sundays, the private kind of webinars. It's just because, like I said in the beginning of this, I'm pretty public, pretty honest here. But there are certain things that Jesus, for instance, he would not tell. It even says that in the Bible. He says that there's secret teachings he told to the disciples and the stuff he told to the public. It's just how it has to be. Yogananda has to follow the super path. Osho was one of the masters that kind of went full on, we're just going to blow it apart and tell truth. But so there needs to be levels of love. God's source does not reveal everything to us. I thank you, God. I'm scared enough in the ayahuasca ceremonies when one time in the last ayahuasca ceremony, this big, beautiful gong that we play in the center of the flower of life on the floor, and the massive hundreds of pounds of amethyst crystals. I mean, it's an amazing place to do ayahuasca, this maloka that Mike created. Well, there's a huge gong. And so one of the shamans or some of the shamans will play the gong. At one point during these last ceremonies, the gong turned into a wormhole for me. And it had kind of a corner on it. So we weren't getting direct blast from the source of the universe, but there was a corner. You could go in there and go into this tunnel. Unbelievable. It's like melting. It's like concentric rays of melting the universe. And yeah, I was like peeking into it a little bit. Okay, that's enough. I don't want to get absorbed into the center of the universe. So proceed at the right pace for you. That's love. Love does the right pace. Love does not rape. Raping consciousness is worse than raping bodies. Spiritual rape is really can be damaging. So raping the revelation on earth, pushing it too fast. Luckily, Source God does not listen to us when we were like, fucking bring it on, rip the lid off and just reveal the spaceships now. You'd have people at this point, a lot of people could handle it, but a lot of people could not handle the energy that would go along with it. It would blow their subconscious up. So let's ask for right time, right revealing. It's happening fast anyway. And no one can stop you personally. They can't block you from your own. The collective has to go at its pace because it involves the collective. It's like a collective. So you can't push the whole collective. That's why you don't have 20 giant motherships revealing themselves like an Independence Day above cities, because then you could not deny it. That's spiritual psychic rape. Everyone is allowed to not know or be in denial or have their worldviews. That's called free will. So let's do the revealing that Mother Earth is doing anyway, and the galactic shift is bringing, from a caring perspective, a loving perspective. Don't worry, it's going to be a wild ride anyway. All right. Thank you, guys. I'm going to get better at this. I'm fucking amazed. If this recorded or if you guys heard this, it says 76 viewers. So, you know, I trust it, I guess. And thanks for the questions. I saw you here. I'm going to get better at multitasking on that. So same time, Thursdays, 10 a.m. Arizona time, which will shift once during the year. And I may have to keep it the same because we're the only state that doesn't do daylight savings time. And it should be recorded as well for those of you in Australia or whatever, where it's 3 a.m. And it's not practical really to get up. This should be posted to YouTube. And if we didn't do it this time, I will be doing it in the future, so you can always watch it later. Much love. Thank you. Spirit's kicking my ass, making me do this. I actually had a dream last night of someone inviting me on stage and me saying, no, I'm not ready. And so that's what this is about. Well, we're going to do it. That's what I'm here to do. My little job, my little part. Love you guys. I hope you gain something from it. Don't take my word as gospel truth. Let it trigger your own realities inside yourselves. And now I'm going to push the stop broadcast button and hope it does, so you don't see me having to go to the bathroom back here. All right, much love. Thursdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time, California time, whatever that translates into. That's 1 p.m. generally in New York, East Coast America. It's generally 6 or 7 at night in Europe, and whatever it is in the rest of the world. Much love. Next time, hopefully, I'll see you in a week. Bye.